It's been just about 5 months since the release of For Honor, and in those 5 months, I've defended the dev team quite a few times. I understand that making a game is hard and that some things just can't be done. But after half a year, not even including the alpha and beta testing, I think I should finally explain in a video the problem I have with the game's post-launch development. Now, I've talked a few times about it in my streams, but the thoughts are random, so let me try and clear it all up. My first and biggest problem with the dev team working on the game is that they just don't listen to the players. Sure, they claim they do, but at the end of the day, anything we talk about doesn't really get fixed. And if they try and fix anything, it doesn't work. There are still issues with the core game, whether it be balancing or just straight up problems. For example, Berserker, Conqueror, and Kinsei are still considered low tier to the point where they can't even compete with other heroes sometimes. And no, I'm not just talking about it's a slight difference between the characters, I'm talking it's pretty drastic. If you pit two players of about the same skill against each other, and one chooses Conqueror and the other chooses Warlord, not only will it be a turtle fest, but the Warlord is probably going to win that match. Not because the player using Conqueror is bad or anything, it's just that he picked Conk, and he doesn't really have as many options to deal damage on Warlord, while Warlord can sit back and decide which way he wants to open up Conk. And I feel that's just not right. They kept claiming they didn't want to nerf anyone too bad, and they wanted to buff everyone else, but I don't see that happening. I understand that this game is so much different than any other fighting game we've seen. There's no jumping or cross-ups or true zoning tools and all that fun stuff, but I don't see why one hero can have multiple opportunities to land attacks in a defensive heavy game, while others just have to pray and spam out their opener and try and land damage, or, parry, which is another big thing in this game. It's to the point where poor old Berserker has literally turned into a crab, and you have to destroy your right stick, flicking it in multiple directions to try and hit your opponent with a weak light attack. Another issue I complain about often is that flicker is still in the game, and to me it's simply unacceptable that a bug that we all know about and the devs have addressed is still here. Orochi, who was my favorite hero in the game at the start, has to base his whole offensive game plan around a bug and backdashing. The only reason it can be dealt with now is because we've all seen the flicker 1,000 times, and the addition of the adjustable dead zones. The reason I'm highlighting these two issues is because it's been a problem for so long, and even with the weekly live stream, which I'm going to talk about in a second, we have no clarity on it. They've talked about fixing Kinsei, Orochi, and Conqueror before, but it hasn't been done. Conqueror has been nerfed into oblivion, Kinsei is never touched, and Orochi, I don't really think they did anything too big with him yet. Now on to another issue I have with the development team is the Warriors Den livestream. I've watched almost every one of them, and most of the time I'm disappointed with the way it goes. Personally, I think the whole thing can be condensed into about 20 to 30 minutes, but instead we're forced to learn about the faction war, which I've stopped caring about. We have to listen to how the game was designed, which I'm not too interested in. We have to watch some old footage on the game's development, or we have to watch some people who go LARPing and role-playing. And then we get to look at new costume colors, which don't really look too different. And finally, we have to look at clips pulled straight from Reddit in awkward silence, which we can do ourselves. After all of that, we finally get to the part that most of us were waiting for, and the part that kind of started this whole thing, the upcoming patches. Now, I'm willing to wait for patches, but I don't like waiting for patches that have nothing in them. And I also don't like being told multiple weeks in a row that they have to collect more data before they make any decisions. All the data is right in front of the team. The high skill competitive players have spoken with them directly, the YouTubers have made countless videos, the community as a whole voices our opinion, the subreddits have well thought out and helpful posts, but it seems like it all goes in one ear and out the other, it's all ignored. For example, for 2 weeks now, 2 weeks in a row, they've mentioned doing something to Centurion in 4v4 game modes. And if you don't think that's a problem, go watch a video of what 4 roaming cents can do to you. But they've mentioned it, not a thing has been done yet. They're gonna talk about it, and maybe in the next one they'll mention it, but we'll have to wait 2 more weeks to get it into the game. I'm not trying to be malicious or mean to the devs, but the slow rate at which things are addressed is a reason for the game's decline. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the lack of support for anything related to competitive. Personally, I believe a rank system could have been in the game since launch. They could have did it, a rainbow style where you get points for every win. And the game wouldn't be in this state and players would still be around. But instead we're getting a tournament style ranked mode 5 months in. The tournaments outside of what they're putting into the game are being completely ignored by For Honor. The lack of a spectator mode does make it a little difficult to watch, and maybe that's why, nothing has been done. But it looks like this game was made to be played competitively. I mean, a couple of weeks ago they showed us a LAN type tournament, which would have been so nice to have nowadays. It would add a reason to want to get better at the game. And that whole Season 2 reveal event was nice too. Some of the bigger names in For Honor got together and fought each other at a high level. And it really confuses me why Ubisoft hasn't continued support for things like that. Studios like NetherRealm go out of their way to make sure that tournaments are at the forefront of their fighting games. And they have big names that we can all remember. But I don't know, maybe it's just not that important to most people and that's why we don't have it. Anyways, I've complained long enough about the devs. Again, I don't have anything against any of them on a personal level, and I know that they've spent about 5 years working on the game, but it seems like they've just gotten burnt out by now. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you have to say about this? Comment down below and tell me if you agree with me or disagree with me and how you feel about the game 5 months later. Do you still play it or have you dropped it? If you like the video at all, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more of what I throw out, you should definitely sub for more daily content. Anyways, I will talk to you guys in the next video.